Welcome to the Talk Sox podcast. I'm Alex, and as always, I'm joined by Maddie. And today we are incredibly excited to be joined by NESN's own Jahmai Webster. What's going on, everybody?
What's happening, guys? I'm happy to be here. Glad that we got a chance to finally make this happen. I mean, the season's around the corner, so I know everybody in Red Sox Nation is super excited about this group.
This is maybe the most interesting Red Sox team since 2018, in my opinion. Would you agree with that, Jahmai?
Since 2018? Wow.
I mean, you got 21. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say, I hadn't really thought about the question until you asked it, but just off the top of mind, I'd say 21 was pretty interesting, but this is certainly up there. I mean, this team is coming off some high expectations after making the playoffs. People absolutely expect them to get further than that first round and finally host a playoff game at Fenway for the first time since 21. So a lot of interest, a lot of intrigue around this group, but I'd say it's probably up there with some of those teams for sure.
So I guess I want to start. We were actually just talking before you came on. I've always been a big basketball guy. In your internship, you had the opportunity to ask the legendary Kobe Bryant a couple questions to kick off a media scrum. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
What was your takeaway from because from everything that I've read about it, like he was super cool. He didn't, little brother you or anything, gave you some very good answers. So what'd you take away from that? And how did that help you grow into the Jahmai that's sitting here with us today?
Yeah, well, I would say that nice job on your research, by the way, first off. But I would say that it taught me to be ready at all times because just a quick backstory on that. It started as a situation where I was interning at the CBS affiliate in Los Angeles and, just running sound or running around for the reporter who was John Ireland at the time, who is now the radio voice of the Lakers. Mm-hmm. And for some reason or another, I think maybe he had to do a live shot immediately after, but wasn't able to get into the locker room right away. So they needed somebody to hold the mic. So that was me. And understanding that I wanted to pursue this as a career, I was just like, all right, well, here's my chance, to get in there. And so we were standing around Kobe's locker room, and he was just getting ready after the post game. And so the photographer gave me the microphone. He didn't say I had to ask questions or anything, but I just kind of took that initiative on my own because at the time that CBS, which was a duopoly station, so it was two stations working in one, and KCAL 9 was the other one, and they were the rights holder for Lakers. So I think what happened, having a little bit of knowledge now, being in the business for a little bit myself, was that everybody was kind of in deference to the KCAL 9 CBS camera. And so I had the mic flag, which was, you usually get the first couple questions. So he turned around after he got dressed and he was like, all right, what do you guys got? And so everybody kind of just staring there looking. And I was like, well, if nobody's going to ask a question, I guess I am. And so, I fired off the first one and he kind of looked at me like, who's this dude, And he answered, great question. And I followed up with another one. And I was like, well, this is, whatever strategy it was, you and Shaq or whatever. And so it was just like, 2 or 3 questions in that first little scrum. And then everybody else finally tapped in. But it was just kind of shocking about, having the boldness to do that as an intern. And then how he responded to me, and didn't try to, make me feel like I'm just some scrub or anything. It was mutual respect. And that was like my Kobe moment, my Kobe interaction. And I learned a lot from that, just, taking it through my career, just being bold and answering or asking the right questions and insightful ones that get athletes to really think about some things rather than getting the coach speak or the player speak type of basic answer. So that's one thing that I got from that for sure.
That's really cool. When I stumbled onto that, I was just blown away. Like that's so cool. I've always been a Kobe guy. My best friend's a diehard Laker fan.
Yeah,
and so that was just a really cool thing to read about. But that goes really into kind of my next question with Cora, because Cora has a little bit of a reputation among some media members of being very direct, especially when he doesn't care for questions. Like you've really built that relationship with AC that there's obvious mutual respect between the two of you. So what did you do to kind of cultivate that with AC to where that respect is there? So even when you're asking him the difficult questions, he's going to give you the time of day, versus just kind of play it off and move on to something else.
Yeah, well, that comes with time for sure. It wasn't always like that. It certainly got that way now. And the thing about baseball and baseball players, coaches, managers, what have you, it's a different approach that you take to your question and answering. And a lot of it is less philosophical, more strategy based, which you find that a lot of managers, when you start asking about, game plan and things of that nature, they may take offense to that. So you have to kind of get out of that mindset of, sometimes the questions are valid, but you got to get out of that mindset of asking direct questions like that, but finding a way to kind of curtail your way around, but get the same type of response. So I remember one specific situation. This might have been 2019, and they were playing the Angels in a May series at Fenway, and Jonathan Arauz was a pinch hitter. So he had come in, and there might have been a runner on second or something, a 1-out situation. And Anthony Rendon was playing third base. This is probably his first year. So it must have been like 2019, probably his first year with the Angels. Anthony Rendon had been playing third base, but he was playing on the grass, like the outfield grass. And Arauz is a great athlete, right? He could have, in my mind, if I'm managing for the Red Sox, like put down a bunt, man, sacrifice the runner to move the runner over, because the only play will be at first base. Just my mind, right? I'm just, I didn't play Major League Baseball or anything. I didn't manage. But I'm just like, it seems like this would be a great play because, if you remember these days, Arauz wasn't, he wasn't like if Roman Anthony was coming on a pinch hit or whatever, or coming on to place the bat. Like you wouldn't necessarily expect him to swing the bat and get a positive result because just the numbers weren't there. They didn't back it up. No offense to him. And so my question, long story short, he swung the bat. He either struck out or grounded out. Didn't get the runner across, didn't get the scoring run. The Red Sox lost the game. So post game, no, you know what? This is 21. This might have been 20. No, this might have been 21. This is 21. So because we did it on Zoom, that's what I recall. We're all on Zoom computers. And so post game, I'm all, I'm up at Fenway in the press box, and I'm logging into the Zoom to post game press conference. And so everybody kind of I asked a few questions early, but then I start to think deeper. I'm like, well, this is kind of a strategy question that the post game guys can kind of dissect or whatever. And I'm thinking like, so I say, Alex, in that situation in the ninth or whatever it was, did you think to lay down the bunt call for Arauz? And he just had this scowl on his face, and I could see like it's like those cartoons where you can see like the frustration building. And I was just like, oh man. And he's just like, no, that wasn't the play or whatever. And he just answered it like that, but I could tell he was frustrated. So I was like, man, I didn't think that was a bad question. Afterwards, I was like, I wonder what's going on with there. And so later on that day, I got home and everything. So this was post game after the game, and I get a text, and it's from the PR guy at the time. He's like, hey, you got a second? I was like, yeah, sure. So he calls me, and he's like, dude, Alex didn't like that question. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, what happened? And so I then lay out the situation for him, and I was like, I thought it was a fair question. I didn't think it was bad, whatever. And so he's like, yeah, man, just word to the wise, like managers don't like when you start to question like the things that they make on the on-field calls and stuff like that. Like, give him a chance. And I was like, well, I wasn't really questioning. I was giving him a chance to explain it, blah, blah, blah. So next time around, I was like, hey, man, like I saw him again or whatever. And I was like, hey, I just was curious, right? Like I just wanted to know. I wasn't trying to like question your thing. It's like, oh no, it's all good. But like, that's the thing with managers. Like they in the heat of the moment after the game, sometimes the emotions run high, but they honestly don't think about things as much as you might. But in this particular situation, he was obviously frustrated. And so it was just like a lesson to be like, okay, well, I see what's kind of off limits in that way. And this is more so like, these are the type of questions that you may ask the next day. You know what I mean? This might be a pregame conversation where he's a lot more relaxed and he can kind of accept it. But in the moment, the way, and especially at this time, like he used to kind of ride the wave a lot more. Now he's more even keel. And he even has talked about that. About just having this new zen about life, and he goes on these runs pregame and stuff. But it was a period in time where it was just like, man, I just want him to, respect the job that I have to do in the same way, because in my role, like I work for the fans. These are questions that they were asking. And I mean, I remember even coming home, turning on talk radio, and that's exactly what they were saying. And like fans were calling in and they wanted to know why. And so I have this unique ability to have direct access to the manager. So I ask the questions that they want to know. So sometimes they're in direct conflict with what message he wants to get out there. But in baseball, it feels like there's kind of this adversarial relationship between the organization and the players and the journalists anyways sometimes. And this was just my experience with that. But I think I've gained his respect over the years to where he wouldn't do that to me anymore. But it's just also about learning who people are, right? And I think showing up every day and being interested and curious about the game, that's something that he loves to teach, and that's something that he enjoys. So now we have a much different relationship, and usually we don't get into these situations where he's pissed at me, but that was one.
So you mentioned that you're kind of like the voice of the fan, especially in that situation. How do you juggle being the voice of the fan, and especially as we all know, like Boston fans can be a little much at times.
Yeah.
How do you juggle that with working for NESN, who NESN's owned by John Henry? Like, how do you juggle working for NESN but still being the voice of the fan? Like, how do you compartmentalize that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a delicate balance for sure, but we all have bosses, right? Like, this is a job that they've afforded me and they've given me. So, certain things that you may not touch, but like, going back to just your foundation journalistically, like there's a ethical and responsibility that you have being in that role. So we've never been one to shy away from, things that are pertinent to on the field, right? Because everybody sees it. You can't, if a guy's struck out 20 times or whatever the case may be, I can't, stay away from that, right? I have to ask. I have to, get a reason why he's still in the lineup every day. Why is he still starting when he's not producing the results? Meanwhile, you got somebody on the farm who's crushing it, right? So those are valid questions associated with the game. I think that's fair play, and that's something that any manager expects, right? Mm-hmm. And so, they have bosses too, though, right? And especially in the game that it is now, it's a lot more collaboration, a lot more analytics, a lot more people with voices into what's going on the field. And so because they might disagree with something behind the scenes, they put on a united front. So sometimes they're not even mad. That's what I've come to understand. He's not even mad at the question that I asked. He's frustrated with the stuff that's going on behind the scenes that's kind of has tied his hands to making the moves that he's had to make. So, and those are conversations that are ongoing. And then maybe next time he has a little bit more voice because he has some history with, hey, this is why I didn't agree with this. Told you guys this wasn't going to work. And now let me kind of do what I need to do. And he's gotten to the point now where he's got that latitude to make free decisions or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so for that type of stuff, I take the bullets, I take the heat, when it comes to answering that stuff. But some of the things that are, speculative or like some organizations may do for clicks or likes or to create those viral moments or the talk radio type, like I don't touch that stuff, like, John Henry hasn't done an interview on TV for like 5 years or something, right? Like that's something that people love to grasp onto, but that's not something like it's not really my responsibility. They say, hey, John, you want to talk today? You know what I mean? Or whatever, or why haven't you talked? Right. I kind of just focus on things that are associated with the game and on the field, and the other stuff is for other people to write.
I like that. I really like that.
It's a good mindset.
Yeah. Maddie, you got some stuff.
It's worked pretty good. I mean, it's like I said, it's just a delicate balance, and like we all have bosses, but I try to, do the job from that perspective. And I think the fans can see through the BS too, and they respect it as well when you're actually fair and you have balance to your reporting and you don't sugarcoat things because everybody has eyes. So you can't fool this fan base. If I'm trying to tell you that X player is just the greatest on earth when everybody's like he's hitting $190, you know what I mean, and he just doesn't have the hits. What are you talking about? So I don't tell those stories because it's just nobody will believe it. Any real fan is just like, this is total BS.
So speaking for a large part of the fan base, we see you as sort of a style icon from the fit you
First,
wore.
I'll take it though.
Yeah, the fit you wore for the 1975 World Series throwback.
yeah.
That like red orange button up is awesome. I think about it like at least I don't know once a week. To your bucket hat collection. Who are the style icons you turn to for inspiration?
Oh man, that's a good one. Well, I appreciate that for sure. Because it's a lot of it is my wife is like, hey, throw this on, this might look nice, or I see something that I feel like can be paired together, and I got to give credit to the folks who put together those 1975 outfits, because that wasn't me. I didn't have any of that gear in my closet. It was donated to us by Thomas Samadia, who has this vintage shop, and he's a graphic designer for us at NESN. And so he was like locked into the era, but he got some great pieces, and I'm glad it worked out because I was curious about it at first. I was like, I don't know if I can pull this off, but it came rave reviews, no notes on those outfits. But I think my inspiration, because especially early on, like we'll wear suits until it gets really hot in the summer. So I always love to put together a nice suit and pocket square that has some kind of accent. But I guess my inspiration is kind of crazy. A lot of people might not know him because he's been gone for a while. He's been dead for a long time now. But Craig Sager was this not so much of a fashion icon, but somebody who was so comfortable in his own skin, and he wore the clothes that he wanted to, right? And a lot of time it was loud and obnoxious, and patterns was clashing, but this was who he was. And so that just taught me to kind of be fearless in my attire. And I don't do anything too crazy, but every now and then I push the envelope. But I think just being comfortable, first off, is I think part of the fashion. The clothes, right? Like the clothes don't make the man makes the clothes. So it doesn't matter what you're wearing. In my instance, it just is how comfortable you look and how you present yourself. So those have been my inspirations, I guess. And I mean, I would say him. It started with just how comfortable he was, and then I just always have been able to, I guess, put together a nice suit, whether it was, growing up as a kid, going to church or something. And it's something that I just enjoy.
Yeah, journalists seem to they have to wear a certain whether it's a polo shirt when it's warmer or a suit when it's colder, but you add like your own personal touch to it that separates a suit from your stereotypical on-field reporter.
Yeah, no, I try to do that for sure, because I mean, I only have so much airtime doing a broadcast. So I'm like, when you see me, I want it to be stunning. And I kind of want to make it memorable, right? And so we've been able to kind of put together quite a bit of a suit collection over the last almost 10 years at the network. And so I got a few options, and some don't fit as good as they did when I first started back here. But every year I try to add to the collection, and hopefully I got some good stuff this season, and I'll be able to display
it. And what made you decide to pursue a career in sports broadcast journalism?
Yeah, well, I get that question all the time. Everybody's always interested in the origin story. And for me, really, I wanted to be the athlete first. I wanted to make it, professionally. And I was pretty good, right? And I felt like I had the skill set and the determination and the hard work and the work ethic to make it. And then as I started to rise up, and I played all sports, right? I played baseball, played football, played basketball, ran track. My dad's a track coach. But basketball was something that I was focused on as I got older, as something I was like, I'm going to pursue this. And I think the numbers in the NBA, especially now with the roster sizes, I mean, it's probably increased a little bit, but it's even less than it is to make it in Major League Baseball. So you just got to look at the numbers, and just, strategy alone, talent alone is just it's going to be a difficult task to make it. Mm-hmm. And so my junior year, where I felt like I was having a breakout season, I broke my wrist playing football. And so that basically kind of derailed my athletic pursuits, and it put me behind everybody. And I felt like I was really just so close to really taking off. And then I was out for a month and a half almost, where I was out for 4 weeks with the cast. And then it really felt like 6 weeks until I felt like myself again. And then mobility wasn't there. you had to do rehab, right? And it just was like, man, this kind of sucks. And so I didn't have the year that I expected to have. And so before that, though, way back in third grade, we had the school project where we had to create a school newspaper, the entire class. And so I was in charge of the comics, and I had to create this character and come up with different things. So it was there that I kind of fell in love with the storytelling aspect of what I do as a profession, because I love telling stories, whether it be, fictional or non-fictional. I just enjoy that very much. And so that's where I think it was sparked from me. And I was like, well, because we were learning about newspapers, I was like, well, wow, somebody does this as a job every day, and people look for this. And that time, newspapers were super hot, and not to date myself, but before the internet, right? And it was super hot, and everybody, you got the newspaper is what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just something about opening that up on the kitchen table, whatever, that your hard night's work prior and somebody really appreciating that just was fascinating to me. And so fast forward to then high school, and I get hurt, and I was just like, well, I always had this idea in my mind, something that I wanted to do. And then also growing up in Los Angeles, I was just like, TV was huge, whether you're acting or being doing entertainment, whatever. So I was like, I just want to kind of marry the two. And so I knew TV was the way I wanted to go, even though I was writing for the high school newspaper at that particular time as well as being an athlete, and broke some cool stories about the women's basketball team. That was also something that attracted me to just like the impact that you can have on change. Even though it's in sports, right? It's something so small. I was just like, this is cool. You're doing something that's important to people and that they care about. And so I won some awards for that on the high school newspaper team. And then once I got to college, I just was like, all right, I kind of had my idea, and I declared right away, just entering school, that I was going to be a broadcast journalism major. And so from there, got a lot of opportunities working at the school, doing a newscast, in a class, or doing a broadcast class over here. So getting that experience. And then my internship came my senior year. So I didn't even have an internship till super late. So I was behind the 8 ball. And so I signed on to do that in the fall of my senior year, as I was getting ready to graduate in the spring. And it was only supposed to be a semester, but I ended up staying on literally until after I graduated, until I actually got a job, because I loved it so much. And I became such good friends with my intern coordinator, who was a producer at the station. And they would give me all these opportunities, even the photographers. I become great with them. And to this day, it's funny, like even now, to this day, like I go back to LA for a series or whatever, and I run into those guys at big events, whether it's, whether it was the Celtics in the finals or, the World Series between the Dodgers and the Red Sox. But those guys are still doing it all these years later. And, it's just great to see them, because that's where I really feel like I got my start in many ways, because that's where I got the real world experience. And, the situation we talked about earlier, where I'm interviewing Kobe Bryant post game in a scrum with the locker room, because of these guys believed in me. They gave me that chance. And so once that happened, and then I graduated, I started sending DVDs all across the country, applying for jobs, which is crazy because, now you just send a YouTube link, whatever. But back then it was DVDs, which was kind of, new technologically, right? Because people used to send these VHS tapes. But I sent a DVD, and I went broke basically doing this. But this was a dream that I wanted. And then I got my first job in College Station, Texas. And, the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, I'm a musician outside of my professional life and all of this, and I can remember sending CDs to record labels, and that's unheard of now.
Yeah, exactly. You just drop the link, whatever it is, MP3. They can get it so fast, but you're saving me hundreds of dollars, postage and DVDs.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like you said, we went broke doing it.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm still trying to recoup
those
some
CDRs
of
that you used to burn CDs on. Oh yeah,
yeah, exactly. And then hope that it works, and then have to test it. I took a few blank ones out, I'm sure, because I never got anything. So it was tough, man, technologically back then for sure.
So being a West Coast guy, you're with NESN in Boston. Mm-hmm. Was there a moment that you look back on and you're like, yeah, I'm a Boston guy now?
Yeah, I guess when I had to look back and because I got 3 kids and they all were born here, and so my daughter, she just turned 9, and I'm just like, man, all my kids were born in Boston. Like they literally know nothing else but the Northeast. So that was like a slap in the face. As much as you try to hold on to all the cities that you lived in your past, it's just like, well, this is who you are now, man. This is how people see you. So that's when I began to accept it and be like, oh, I guess I am a Boston guy now. But that was kind of the eye-opening thing, because you get caught up in this and the career and the job and the grind, and then you look up at something like that and you're like, wow, like all my kids were born here. Now my daughter's 9, she'll be 10 in January. It's like, oh, this is crazy. Like we had no kids when we moved here, and so like you built this whole life now, and it's just crazy when you stop and kind of smell the roses, right? But yeah, it's been a journey and it's been crazy. But I'm full on Bostonian now. Like my daughter, my middle daughter, kind of even has a little accent, so I'm trying to get her to kick. It's like, this is crazy.
I'm from the same town as Chad Jennings. We have similar, not similar backgrounds. We went different ways after high school, but
so you didn't grow up on a farm like Chad?
Pretty much, yeah. In a town of at most 15,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, but I got a chance to meet him 2 years ago. He came back, and the high school inducted him into their Wall of Fame.
Oh man.
And I got a chance to meet him, and he said a very similar thing. He's like, kind of looking back on things, like, I'm a Boston guy now, but I remember being here and being in New York and all that. He's like, but like my house, my kid's school doesn't have air conditioning, and he came when it was like 90 degrees here.
Oh man.
And he was like, this is miserable.
Yeah, exactly. You start to appreciate that, even though this is miserable. Like it's rainy outside in Boston today, and it's like it was the first day of spring a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in LA, it's like high 70s, cool breeze, and it's like the sun's out.
Things you still miss, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely miss that, but it makes me appreciate the seasons. Spring is almost here, officially. You know, or really, I guess it's officially.
You just got to start it in Cincinnati. Really.
I know, which is crazy because I looked at the forecast the other day, and I think today or tomorrow, one of these days, it's like 75 in Cincinnati because I obviously have to pack. I'm just like, well, what am I going to wear? And so the weather's going to be actually pretty incredible in Cincinnati this first week of the season. So I'm excited about that, at least, because then we go off to Houston where it's always hot.
Always hot in Houston, but at least it's a dome.
Right.
And so it's gonna be a little better inside the stadium.
Yeah, 100%.
So outside of Fenway Park, what if you've got to pick a favorite major league park, what would it be?
Oh man, I mean, definitely Fenway. Obviously, Dodgers growing up, it's nostalgic for me as a kid there. People hate on the new Yankee Stadium. I never got a chance to visit the old one, but I don't mind the corporateness of it. It's still, it's a great place to watch a game to me. But like some of my top ballparks that I would say, if like people had a bucket list or they wanted to check them off to say they experienced it, would be PNC Park, Pittsburgh. Just beautiful landscape, the skyline. Just a great place to watch a game, and those sunsets, and it's right off the Allegheny River. It's just a beautiful place. AT&T Park, where the Giants play. And it hates me to say that, growing up a Dodgers fan at the time, it's like anything nice about the Giants. But man, it is an experience for sure. I would highly recommend that. And then, Rogers Center, when the roof is open, though, the roof has got to be open, and they made a lot of upgrades, but like the roof open, with the, what is it? The what is the thing called? Not the Space Needle.
CN Tower?
CN Tower. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
the Drake album.
Yeah, exactly. When you see the CN Tower and you're watching a ball game and the place is packed, it's just, and during the summer, it's you can't beat it, man. It's hard. It's hard to beat that. And a sneaky one, I would say, is Progressive Field in Cleveland. As much as I dump on Cleveland, shout out to my guy Andre Knott, who's my counterpart for the Guardians. It's a really cool kind of older place too to watch a game, and so I enjoy that. Obviously, Wrigley's up there too, but it is, to steal a phrase from Joshua Winkowski from a couple years ago, kind of stock standard. But the history, you walk in there and you can feel, the ghosts of the past. So I think that's pretty cool. But
yeah,
outside of that, not like super special with glitz and glamour technology. But the Ivory's kind of cool and great place to watch a game, and obviously the history. And I cannot forget this. Now I'm on a roll. Angel Stadium at Anaheim. Another good one. Might surprise a lot of people, but really good place to watch a game as well. And those would probably be some of my tops. And I don't mind, south side of Chicago either, where the White Sox play.
Mm-hmm.
If they can get, a fan base there and get people talking, which is they're starting to do, right? They're building up some things, and obviously trading Garrett Crochet to the Red Sox was able to bring back some prospects and some good players. Kyle Teal, one of them. And when they're rocking, and it's funny because my buddy John Schifrin, who calls White Sox games on TV for them, he was like, because we went around town when we visited there, and he was showing me around, and he kind of had the key to the kingdom. Like, we go anywhere and they just let us right in or whatever. I was like, oh, dude, you're the man around here. It's like, dude, it's not even that. It's just that, like, a lot of people in Chicago, which he has come to realize, he said they might not say it, but most of them are like undercover White Sox fans. Like, they love White Sox. People love the White Sox. It's more the people's team, right? More than they love the Cubs, because they look at the Cubs as like kind of commercialized and this whole big thing. But White Sox fans are deep there, and they get a lot of respect. So I think if they can, field a team that's competitive, it'll be a tough place to play over there, So those are probably
not a fan of the name of the stadium. What is it? Rate Field now?
Guaranteed. Yeah. Oh yeah. This is great. They dropped the guarantee.
Yeah.
They dropped the guarantee. Rate Field. That's right. Not bad though if you can get there. I mean, summertime that's hard to beat as well.
Yeah.
So it's a great place.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's on the list for this summer for my wife and I. She's never been to Chicago, period.
Oh man, you blow her away.
Yeah.
You'll blow her away.
Yeah.
She want to move there. She'd be like, "We got to get out of Kansas City." She'd be like, "We got to go."
I wouldn't hate that.
No question.
So obviously, you've had some very interesting moments being down on the sidelines. I think most notably the Devers foul ball that.
Oh man, I'm still hurting.
What would you say has been your favorite moment since joining NESN? It could be on field, off field. Just what stands out to you?
Favorite moment? Wow,
that's tough. I know
so many over the last decade. Really, that certainly stands out as one because it just kept going.
The ball?
I got it somewhere. I think I might have given it away, actually. You know what? I think I might have given it away. And the reason being because I told Raffy the story. He had no sympathy for me, first off. So I was like, dude, I got crushed. 109.3, man. I might have broken a rib. He's like, nah. In his Raffy way, he was like, now you see, you get it. And I'm like, no, dude, you're getting hit by 90, 99, whatever it may be. You're not getting 109. You're not taking that off the ribs. And so he had no sympathy. So I was like, well, I was going to have you sign it, but you don't seem to care. He was like, yeah, you'll be okay. And so since I didn't get it signed, I was just like, whatever. So I gave it to a kid at some point. But that certainly is one of them because, I still walk around the ballpark and people keep telling me, hey, watch out for those foul balls. They got those constant statements or they bring that up. 1975 is now a new one where, a lot of people, that was a very memorable thing for them last season where they constantly bring that up to me or mention it. I'd say I got a picture and it might even be here. I think I moved it, but it was in 2018. Like the first Gatorade walk-off splash that I got was probably the first real one, I would say. Probably the first one was Devin Marrero in like April at some point, but the first real one, and shout out to Demo, that's my guy. But the first real one was like Benny and I think Mookie and I was interviewing JBJ and we got doused, absolutely doused. And there's a great photo. So one of the photographers sent it to me and I got it printed as a magnet and I had it on my my refrigerator. But now my wife likes to clean refrigerator, so she made me take it down. So it's hanging around here somewhere. But that was probably one of the more memorable ones to me at that time. And man, I mean, I got some. And then there's when a couple years ago where the guy, I forget his name now, it's slipping me, but a home run ball came into the Green Monster and he whiffed on it, and his wife had a glove, and he missed it, and popcorn jumped everywhere or something like that. So I went to interview him in the stands. That was a pretty funny one. I interviewed Jack Harlow at Fenway. He's like he's in the news lately for his switch to R&B. Shout out to Jack though. He's he was gracious with his time, and I told him then that I was a fan of his, so he appreciated that. But that was one. I met Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. He was sitting in the owner's box, I think in 2019, and I walked over and I introduced myself, and he kind of had an idea who I was, which kind of blew me away. And I asked him if he wanted to go up to the booth to join Jerry and OB because they wanted to see if he'd come up and talk, and he did. He's like, "Yeah, I'll go up with those guys for sure." And so that was pretty cool because I got a picture of me shaking Matt Damon's hand somewhere around here. From me at Fenway. But yeah, there've been a lot. I mean, there've been a lot. It's been some good times for sure, but hard to really single out I mean, playoffs in 21 was epic. Just that wild card game and then the beating the Yankees, it was just incredible. And even the Houston series in the ALCS was awesome. It was just that might have been just because that was the first time that I was in my current role in the full-time capacity, because I would just fill in before 2021. That was my first year doing it. So like having the ride from the very beginning of spring training all the way to the end was just exhilarating. You felt all the highs and the lows of it. And that just took a lot out of you. And then get to that point, it felt like the payoff. Even though I didn't swing the bat, I did record one out. It just felt like, they accepted me as a part of what they were doing. And that was kind of cool, which is something that you see kind of in my role, as the sideline reporter or the play-by-play guy or the color guy or the pre- and post-game host, is just that, like, you see these guys more than you see your own family at time. And so you're on the same schedule as them. The only difference is, they have a few more zeros in their bank account. But you live in the exact same life, and they respect the grind that you have to go through, and it's a mutual respect. And then when they have success, like, you enjoy it. I root for the good stories, and so I hope that they have success because it's a lot more fun to do my job when the team is winning.
Most definitely, and we want to be super cognizant of your time. So I've got one final question for you. Based on spring training so far, we have a pretty good idea of what the 26 man is going to look like as we head into the season this coming Thursday. If you could have one word that you think will describe the 26 Red Sox, what do you think that word would be?
Surprise. That would be my word. Like, one word would be surprise. Because I think this group is going to surprise a lot of people. And a lot has been made of the lack of power, losing Raffy, losing Bregman, but they got some good pieces back. I think Caleb Durbin is going to be a really good player that the fans are going to come to love and enjoy just because of how he plays the game and the way he approaches it. I think a lot is made of the rotation, as good as it is. I don't think it's the best in baseball, but I think it's up there. And if you can pitch and you can play defense, you're going to be in every single game. And so in the end, I think, we're going to be having to give Craig Breslow a lot more credit because of his belief and his approach to what he's been able to do with this group. So I think they're going to surprise a lot of people in a tough division at that, a tough division, no gimmies. But I wouldn't be surprised, if the AL East had 3 teams make the playoffs this year. Obviously you got the reigning American League champs who won the pennant last year was the Blue Jays. The Yankees are going to be there. And so I think the Rays are going to be formidable. I don't know what Baltimore is going to be, but it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy this year for sure, but everybody's competitive. And I think the Rays will probably be the worst team, but they'll probably be like 500, or around there, like teetering on that, 80 and 80, which means they can beat you on any given night. They're going to be no gimmies in the division this year. So, but I do think the Red Sox could surprise a lot of people. And when I say that, I mean, like if the Red Sox win the AL East, you're going to be surprised. You know what I mean? Like that type of surprise.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Well, Jahmai, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. We really, really appreciate it. We're looking forward to the season. Looking forward to seeing you on our TVs. Like I said, I'll be at the St. Louis series, so I'll come by and say what's up.
Yeah, definitely. Please do. That's early one too. So I hope it's warmer there and it's not too crazy. That's for sure. We'll see.
Well, thank you and take care.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Maddie. Great to talk to you, Alex. I'll see you guys around.
See you, Jahmai. Thanks again.
All right.
All right. Well, that was Jahmai Webster. Oh gosh. If you're watching on YouTube, ignore what's happening for a second. Here we go. That's still not right. This is the right one. There it is.
There we go.
We're back. That was Jahmai Webster. Incredibly thankful to him for coming on. Just what a guy.
His energy is just so infectious. We were texting this like last week, like it's just palpable, like you could feel it, and just good vibes, good aura. Quality dude.
Yeah, we'd definitely love to get him back on. Maybe over the All-Star break, we'll start having those conversations, send some emails, and reach back out. But with his schedule coming up, he's going to be real busy all the way up until about mid-July. I guess we just got a couple things to talk about with just the two of us. The Red Sox showed up and showed out in the WBC. Neither one of us are big spring training people. We've talked about that on this podcast more than a handful of times at this point, but I was locked in for everything but the championship game because not because I didn't want to be, but this past week was my school spring break, and my wife and I took a little quick trip over to Nashville, and it just so happened that our first day in Nashville was Tuesday night. We went out to dinner at this fantastic restaurant and went and caught a comedy show and got back to the hotel right at the bottom of the sixth. So I was locked in from the bottom of the sixth on, because the comedy show that we went to, they were testing new material. So they had us use those Yonder pouches, so we couldn't have access to our phones. Otherwise, I'd have probably had it propped up on a drink and at least keeping like the game time running, the game tracker running, not the video or anything, but they were testing new material. So we didn't get to have our phones out, which was great. Kept everybody engaged. But I was locked in. I love the WBC. And Maddie called Team Italy's run that I questioned, and that's egg on my face.
I mean, you never doubt the power of a bunch of dudes from New Jersey and espresso.
Have you seen the espresso machine? As of last night, was available? Is it still up for auction?
I think Pasquantino tweeted something where somebody bought it, then was donating it to some charity.
I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. Last I saw it was at like almost $4,000.
That's like a couple trips to Europe.
To go get actual Italian espresso.
Exactly. Where was it? Let me.
I was big on Vinny Pasquantino, like being traded to the Red Sox. So to see him step into his like own as like he was the captain of Team Italy. To see him step into his own and really become a dude, like he's now on the national stage. I knew who he was, being a Missouri guy. Obviously, like he'd been a little bit connected to the Red Sox and the Cole Reagan's talk, but seeing him kind of become that guy, I love. I think he's a great guy.
So, the proceeds from it hasn't been sold yet. The proceeds from it though are going to the Southwest Autism Research and Resource Center. They provide service for children, teens, and adults with autism. So yeah, again, just a really likable dude. Like the more I learn about him, the more I'm like, this dude could like walk on water.
Yeah. As the father of a child with autism, that is just incredible. That's not something that like I like to broadcast or anything like that. And I'm very proud of my son. I don't want to sound like that, anything like that, but as the father of a child with autism, that's incredible. And just a big tip of the cap to Vinny Pasquantino, and that's fantastic. And that money will do a lot of good for a lot of people. I absolutely love that. The arguably other shining star of Team Italy is one Greg Weissert, who I guess is going to give Chapman a run for his money in the closer role this season, based on those 3 saves that he had in the WBC.
Yeah, like Weissert actually, like I think you've said this on here before, where you watch him and then you look at his stats and are like, really?
Nuh-uh.
Like
Yeah.
something isn't adding up here.
He had a sub-4 ERA last year.
Mm-hmm. And
That's
I believe in
crazy.
Greg Weissert. Like, you know what? The bullpen needs guys to step up because
Yes.
it's taken a step down last year, even though you still have Chapman and Whitlock coming back. Like, you really don't know if Chapman can replicate his season, his 2025 season, just given his age. And Whitlock too. I mean, his his velocity was really bad. The final, his final outing in the World Baseball Classic.
There's a lot of questions surrounding that. Mark DeRosa said that he didn't use Mason Miller because the Padres, I guess, asked him not to. Cora gave the okay to use Whitlock. I'm sort of torn on it. Whitlock's going to have to go 3 games at times. He's going to have to go back-to-backs. And especially, like, there's talk of him, and we've talked about it on this podcast. We talked about it with Chris Cotillo and Corbin from Red Seat, and he's looked at as probably the closer of the future, which means that you may go probably an inning or 4 outs at most, but you may go back-to-back some nights. The guy on the other side, I can't remember his name for Venezuela right now. He also went back-to-back and was pumping 101. So obviously Whitlock's a different arm, a different injury history and everything like that. You hate that he's the one who gave up that lead to Venezuela, and you hate that Anthony's the one who struck out to end the game. But what we've also talked about in our like text threads is Wilyer Abreu is now a international superstar in the world of baseball.
As he should be.
Yes. We stand Wilyer on this podcast. I would love to see Wilyer locked up long term. I wrote about that last season. Any chance we get to hear Cookie Monster Wilyer make his
Cookie Monster?
Yeah.
If
you haven't heard the clincher for the wild card, if you haven't heard that, it's the greatest thing of all time. And then it has shown up now 2 more times thanks to the WBC. Cookie Monster Wilyer is my favorite version of Wilyer, and if I ever get a chance to meet him, I will tell him that.
Okay, I say Latino Louis Armstrong.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yep.
It could go either way.
Yep. He
Oh.
just came into his own in the WBC, and what a time to do it on a stage like that.
Yeah, the best thing about the World Baseball Classic was seeing these Red Sox players, whether it was Masataka Yoshida. I mean, I know Japan was kicked out super early in the tournament, but
that was crazy.
It was frustrating, but
yeah.
I mean, but seeing Venezuela win too was also great, and just the fans, the players, like you could tell they weren't taking themselves seriously, and they just were having fun, which the U.S. didn't seem to be doing a lot.
Correct.
Like they seem to be getting in their heads, and at the end of the day, I mean, the players I really like in the sport outside of the Red Sox, just you can tell they're having fun, and they enjoy the game, and that's what it came down to. I think with the
I think so too. The Red Sox didn't get somebody, or not the Red Sox, the USA didn't get somebody past first base until Harper's home run in the 8th.
When he finally decided to show up.
When Harper finally put a bat to a ball. I mean, I don't think Mark DeRosa should probably manage the team again. There's some very questionable decisions that were made. He says he if they ask, he'll say yes, and I'm sure he will. So would I. But man, that was
this is the
a
start of Alex's campaign to manage
to be
the
Team USA's
USA.
manager in the WBC in 3 years. Hey, if that's what we need to do, that's what we need to do. Buddy, it'll be the United States Red Sox out there. We'll figure out a way to get everybody to play for Team USA.
My favorite thing was during the broadcast, like the camera would just pan to Mark DeRosa, and he would just like he kind of looked like he had just stepped out of a Ray-Ban advertisement, where he'd be like, with his glasses, like seemingly no thoughts behind like his eyes, just
no,
like standing like at the top of the dugout, like hilarious, and that right.
Yeah, like, that was his other one. He would always be there. Yeah. Like, Jarren Duran played incredibly well. As you said earlier, Maddie, Masataka Yoshida was great. Things that you love to see as Red Sox fans. There's still a lot of questions on who's the Roman Anthony's the left field starter. There's no question about that, at least in my mind. Is Duran the DH? Is Masataka Yoshida the DH? How is it going to shake out? What's the platoon look like? And those are questions that I'm glad I don't have to answer, but they're questions that I have. If this is the Jarren Duran that we're getting this year, absolutely he needs to be DHing more than anybody else on this team. And I wonder if focusing solely on the offensive side of the ball, if we'll see his speed show back up on the base paths. Because last year was a down year for him. So I think if he's not having to worry about fielding and playing defense, if we might see him let loose on the base paths a little bit this year, which would be great.
I could see that. Yeah, I mean, more energy to, expend.
Yeah.
And I think the thing with last year was that, 2024, he kind of came up, relatively unknown, like, oh, he's fast, but only Red Sox fans knew that. And then, he had his, MVP caliber season. And then, throughout the offseason, people were saying, oh, this guy is going to wreak havoc on the base pass. And then last year, people kind of, were aware of that. So I guess he probably didn't want to, try to steal a, second or whatever base if people knew that he was going to do that.
Yeah, I think that's very valid. And with he seems to care about baseball and that's his, he's like during the season, single track mind almost. Baseball and working out. Those are his things.
The gains.
And, the big gains. And he had to be cognizant of that. And I mean, AC is obviously a great student of the game. So he's probably aware of that as well. So, I think it'll be really interesting to see kind of how Jarren fits into the DH role, which takes us, I guess, to our roster predictions a little bit. I think everybody pretty well understands who all is going to be on the 26th at this point. And there's really no surprises in my opinion. Wilson Contreras is going to be at first. Marcelo Myers is going to be at second. Trevor Story at short. Caleb Durbin at third. Narvaez behind the plate. Anthony in left field. Cedon in center. Willier in right. Duran at DH. Obviously, like I said, there's the Massa question. If Tristan Casas comes back and is hitting the cover off the baseball with Worcester, there's then the Tristan Casas question. Andrew Monasterio has been great in spring training. That is one I've kept up with him. But I think we pretty much know what the roster day in, day out is going to look like, or the lineup day in, day out is going to look like at this point. The team signed Danny Cullum and Tommy Canley, which they've been trying to sign Tommy Canley for what seems like decades at this point. So I'm glad they finally landed him. He's got an interesting upward mobility clause. It doesn't kick in until like June or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he can spend some time in Worcester, which I think is nice. But it's going to be interesting to kind of see how the backup roles shake out. I think that's really the last big question left in camp. The team seems to be reassigning and optioning guys to minor league camp pretty much on a daily basis at this point. So we're getting I mean, obviously, we're less than a week away from opening day. We're going to know what that 26-man looks like probably by Tuesday would be my guess.
I'd hope.
Monday, I would love to have it Monday. But
A
the
lot
great
of other
thing,
teams are releasing theirs.
yeah. The great thing about the season starting this Thursday means that starting Sunday, we will begin our weekly coverage of the season, which might end up not being Sunday this week, and we'll talk about that once we wrap. But but it might end up being Monday instead. But yeah, so we will, starting with opening day with the first series, we will jump in with both feet, and we will be back on a weekly basis. Our goal is to record on Sunday night to kind of wrap up the week that has been. And throughout the season, we've had some guests on this off season, as Jahmai kind of alluded to. A lot of these people that we've reached out to are going to be incredibly busy starting Thursday. So guest wise, we'll keep doing what we can do and see who we can get on. We've reached out to some really cool names that are very interested in coming in and coming on and speaking with us, but it'll just kind of depend on their schedules, and we'll make whatever we need to make work to do that. Are you currently working on anything, Maddie?
Not at the moment. So for those of you who don't know, I started at BP for the season, or Baseball
Fantastic.
Prospectus.
So stoked for you. That's so awesome.
Yeah, this month. So my output here will be a little more limited, but yeah, if you like my stuff, be sure to check it out.
But you're staying on the podcast. We make sure that's clear. Yes.
Yeah.
Stay on the podcast.
I'm still here on the podcast.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely head over to BP and check out what Maddie and everybody at BP is doing. If you're not a BP member, it's well worth the subscription. It's
fantasy
great
stuff too.
Yeah.
Especially. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I think it's our last position analysis, the second base. I think is the last one that we have. It'll come out sometime in the next couple of days. Just kind of biding my time until opening day at this point, though. I think that's really all we can be doing. This is January, kind of sucks during the off season. February, you get the start of spring training. March slows back down, and it feels like it really hits a lull in these like 3 days right before opening day, and then it's we can talk about everything now. So I'm sure I'll have
2 hours.
Yes. I'm sure I'll have more and more stuff towards the end of the week. But yeah, right now, be on the lookout for that second base analysis. I got a chance to wrap it up after Cora named Marcelo Meyer the starting second baseman. So I was glad about that. But we will be back early next week with our first regular season episode where we recap the series with the Reds and look forward to the Astros. So thank you for checking this out. Thanks to Jahmai Webster for coming on and hanging out with us for a solid 40 minutes. He was great. Definitely hope that we can have him on, and we will catch you guys next week.